Coming to you straight from Indianapolis, aka the Circle City, this is the Taking Back You Momcast. The Taking Back You Momcast is a witty, authentic, and sometimes sarcastic podcast for millennial mamas who are in the thick of mom life. And I'm your host, Dani Carter-Iddens, wife, millennial mama, motivational speaker, and motherhood advocate. Hello. This is Dani Carter-Iddens with the Taking Back You Momcast. Welcome back for another week with us. And this week we are going to be talking all about dealing with change. So, like I said last week, if you listened to last week's episode, we moved about 2.5 hours south of where we used to live. And with that, I'm sure you totally can understand that there are a lot of changes that have been going on in our lives. My husband started teaching at a new school. He started teaching a new grade, even at the new school. My son is going to a new school. We have been on a hunt for a new church. We have, we moved to a new house. So many things have changed. And it's kind of been enough to make our heads spin. And it hasn't always been, the easiest of transformations. Now, that's not to say that we are not thoroughly enjoying ourselves. We really love the change that we, are making. But it has been, it's been a change. And I wanted to kind of just help you, figure out how to deal with change if you are dealing with change. Now, you don't have to be, moving or anything like that in order to have a change come into your life. For us, that's just kind of what happened this year. But there are tons of ways that you can be, kind of thrust into change every day in your life. And, they're just kind of, there's two ways that you can handle it. You can kind of freak out, not know what you're doing, go in blind, or you can be open to change and be open to the possibilities that come with change. So, kind of the first thing when you're, kind of dealing with change is that you really just want to be open. Now, I talked about this last week with, meeting new mom friends or meeting new friends in general. It doesn't even have to be mom friends, just making friends in general. And one of the biggest things that I'm trying to remember this year is to be open and to be open to the possibility of ... You know what I mean? Be open to the possibility of whatever, you can't even fathom right now what could happen if you are open to the possibility. What I mean by this is, a few months ago, I had turned down something that I now am doing. And the reason is because I couldn't visualize it. I couldn't see it. And taking on this new thing was going to, it was going to be a change, but it was going to be stressful, and I was scared, and I was afraid of looking like an imposter. You know what imposter syndrome is, right? Imposter syndrome is when you want to do something and you actually know a lot about what you want to do, but you're so worried about what everybody's going to think of you, or if everybody's going to think that you are, knowledgeable or an expert enough that you don't do anything, and you kind of get arrested and you do nothing, you stop. And so instead of saying yes to this opportunity, I declined it because I was afraid of the change that would take place if I said yes. Well, luckily, and I don't know how it is for you, but I am the kind of person that will, I think on things a whole bunch, for a long time. And it's kind of annoying sometimes because all I want to do is sleep. But my brain just keeps going and I keep running through things. And a lot of times my first answer might not always be my final answer. So I don't know if I would be good on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire or anything like that, because my final answer is usually different from my first answer. Once I've thought about it, once I've talked to my family about it, my friends about it, and everything like that. And in this change, which is something that I'm doing now, I was approached to speak to people, speak to moms, and to, kind of have it be like more of a, I don't know, a scheduled thing that happened more than, once every blue moon. And I got to tell you, I was scared because I was afraid of, these people like finding out that I did. I don't know. I don't even know what I was scared of, but I was afraid of the change that would come because I knew that this would be a catalyst for more change. So you know what I mean? So my initial instinct was to say no because I knew that it was going to open up more possibilities. So isn't that weird? Like when you hear that now, when I hear it myself say it, I realized that I was saying no to change because I was afraid that there would be success or happiness or fulfillment or whatever for me and for the women that I was going to speak to. And I think that's one of our biggest problems when it comes to change. The problem with change, just inevitably, is that there's unknowns. There's unknowns, and we don't like unknowns, do we? I mean, I don't. I am awful at it. I was telling a friend that, if I had it my way, God would just tell me my entire life, the entire plan that he had for my life, and I would be, grateful for it and I'd be happy for it. So then I knew when I made changes if they were the right thing or whatever. And she said to me, yeah, but if you knew everything that God had planned for you, for your entire life before it happened, your mind would be like blown. And I remember thinking, like, doggone it, she's right. But it's true. We hesitate to change because we want the answers before, before we take the test, essentially. We want to know that when we change, that it's going to work out for us. We want to know that like ahead of time. But the problem is that that's not how it works. Do you remember that commercial? It was like three old ladies and they had like messed up how we do Facebook. And so they said, oh, look, here's pictures of our vacation. And I put them up on my wall. And she had actually like put the pictures up on her like actual like living room wall. And the other old lady's like, oh, that's so cool. I see what you did. And then only one of the old ladies is looking around and she's like, that's not how this works. That's not how any of this works. You guys, like, what is going on? This is not how you put pictures on a wall for Facebook, So it was really funny because we were, the joke was, ha ha ha, he he he. They heard, pictures on your wall and they took it as like putting actual pictures on your wall. And we know if you're, on Facebook, that means, and actually it doesn't even mean this anymore because now it's your timeline. But back then, putting pictures on your wall on Facebook meant like your virtual wall. But when she's saying like, that's not how this works, that's not how any of this works, that's like literally life, where we want to know how it's going to work before it happens. And guys, guess what? That's just not how this works. So you gotta be open to change because that's like, it's just gonna happen. It's gonna happen. And some change is not always, easy to do. Now, like I said, this change of us moving, starting new jobs, these have been good changes. They were changes that were, a long time in the making, and we had talked about them, often over the years, and then finally we just kind of had to like make the choice to bite the bullet and do it. But, sometimes change is not necessarily like welcome or not necessarily warranted. It's warranted, but it's not welcome. And, what do you do then? What do you do when you don't want something to change? But, and this did happen to me, I didn't want one aspect of my life to change. But in order for another aspect of my life to change, I had to change the entire scope. So, the aspect of my life that I didn't want to change, but I had to in order to change this part. It kind of became like, collateral damage. So, how many times have you had a situation where you thought to yourself, well, I want to, work fewer hours, but I don't want the amount of money that I make to change. Whatever. That's just kind of an example. And so you realize that when you are dealing with change, there's going to be some collateral damage. Something's got to give. Something's going to have to give in order for you to have change and for this change to take place. It's just the way it is. It's just the way life works. I wish it wasn't. I wish you could have your cake and eat it too, but you can't. And that's okay. We'll figure it out. We'll get by. But, what do you do when that happens? Will you, for me, and I know this might sound like, really, Dani, what am I supposed to do with this information? But for me, what I really do is I take a piece of paper, and it seems simple, but it helps. I take a piece of paper and I take, what I'm doing, what the big goal is, the big change is, and I write the pro and the con. And I think to myself, okay, what are the pros of, this change and what are the cons? And honestly, if the pros outweigh the cons, even if the con column has some, collateral damage, I go for it. And then my next step after that is pray. I pray, oh Lord, do we pray? Because it is scary. And, one of the things that a good friend of mine taught me was that God doesn't show you the entire path. He just lights one step ahead. So if you just follow one step ahead of the path that God is, has lit for you, then, you are going to be able to see. And maybe you can't see the entire path, but you can see ahead of you just a little bit. And that's really what you need to be able to see. So, when you're dealing with change, like I said, be open. And you also, you want to, not only do you want to be open, but you want to look for people who you can, kind of connect with. We're starting at a new church. And so I thought to myself, okay, well, there's gotta be other people who are just starting at this church, who have moved from wherever. And so, I kind of look for those people because, we're all kind of changing or doing whatever at the same time. And so we're kind of in the same boat. And so I think that, that's a good place to start. Find a community of people who are kind of going through what you're going through. If you've moved, find people who have also moved. If you are changing jobs, reach out to other women who have made kind of a similar career shift as you. Even if it's not the same, you don't have to, if you're an accountant and you switch to being a belly dancer, I don't know, whatever. You don't need to find somebody else who did the exact same thing. But what I'm saying is you want to find people who kind of did like a big career change like that. And I sing the praises of finding your crew. That's my number one thing. Find your crew. And if you don't find your crew, keep looking for your crew. And, honestly, and this is, again, one of those sayings where you're like, oh, good Lord, don't sweat the small stuff. There are going to be little things that just make your head hurt about changing whatever it is, and listen, don't think that when I say change, don't think that I mean it has to be this big overarching change that, just changes every aspect of your life. I'm just talking about I don't know, getting a new hairdresser. That can be stressful. Finding a new, listen, here. Listen, we're having a Chinese takeout crisis at the Iden's household. Because, the place back where we used to live, the place in Valpo, and here's a shout out, Jade Garden. Um, that's just some good Chinese food. I don't care who you are. And we haven't found that yet in Indy. And the place that we went, I'm not going to mention their name. The place that we went last week, let's just say we're not going back. Does that mean we're giving up Chinese food forever because we tried to change and it didn't work? No, we're going to find some other place. I know that was just like kind of a weird example, but that's kind of what I mean. Don't sweat it. Like it wasn't that good. My kid liked it, but you know why he liked it? Because it like had no flavor. And you know how kids like bland food. But, we decided like, okay, well, we'll just try another place next week. It's all good, whatever. So don't sweat the small stuff in changing. There's going to be like little, jack-ups, some foolishness. There's always going to be foolishness. Always, always, always. So you know what, girlfriend? Put on your big girl panties and like do it to it. Because seriously, there's always going to be some kind of foolishness that you have to deal with. I know a lot of you mamas are dealing with the change of your, little one going into like a new grade. I think we finally, I said last week, I thought we were through all the new, everybody starting new school years. But you know what? I went on Facebook on Tuesday and doggone it, there's still some people who are starting school. So I think this week we are all finally, like everybody's in school who's going to school, I think. And and that's a change. I have a lot of friends whose kids are going into kindergarten, like my little guy. Then I have a lot of friends whose kids are going to preschool for the first time. And that's also a big change, but listen, that change, let me tell you something. It's really nice because as they're going into, the next level, the next layer, whatever, you're getting a little bit more free time. And I don't know about you, but I love it. And even if you have another little one at home or more little ones at home, it just kind of gives you a little bit more time. I don't know, maybe when you had 3 kids at home during the day, you got no naps. And now maybe this time you get to like close one eye for like 2 more minutes than you did before. I don't know. But, the change can be good. Even though you miss your little one, who, I'll be 100% real with you right now. Yesterday, I had like an Alex attack and I just needed to smell him. And so I went upstairs and I laid in his bed while he was at school and I just like, so I could smell his scent. And I know that I know you mamas get it. I know you understand. And, I just had to do that. I mean, because kindergarten, for the pluses and the free time that I have, it's been a big transition for all of us. He's like in like actual school now. And some days I'm realizing this is the beginning of like him slowly but surely getting involved in more things, being gone longer and stuff like that. And, I kind of had like a little moment where I was like, I just need to like feel him by me even though he's not. And that's okay. That's how I'm dealing with that change. So I'm not freaking out. I just found another way to kind of make it work for me. He doesn't need help with it working for him because he loves kindergarten and whatever. But you got to do what you got to do. And don't, and listen, I told you that story, not because, I wanted you to know how weird I am. I mean, who isn't weird? But I told you that story because if you have the impulse to do something, not necessarily even that, but something like that, like it's completely normal. We all have that. We miss our children and we all do that. Don't worry. It's not weird. Well, it is weird, but it's okay. Dealing with change in your own way is cool. So like don't worry about the small stuff. Think of this like an opportunity to like be something else or be more than you were or be less than you were too, because you might have taken on a lot of responsibilities and now you kind of don't have to worry about that. Because like right now, I have 4 jobs. And I used to have like 35,000 jobs, but I have 4 jobs. My first job is to take care of my family. I'm home every night. Since I've known my husband, we have been together for almost 12 years. I have had to work at night since I've known him. So the last 3 months for me have just been fantabulous because I have stayed home. I have cooked for them. That's my other job, is I just am taking care of my boys. Like, I'm taking care of my boys. I'm getting our house all situated. We're someplace new. I'm getting that all situated. I'm motivational speaking. I go around and I motivational speak. What? Like, that's crazy. That was a dream of mine, to be able to talk to women. And now that's what I'm doing. And what's even crazier is that 4 years ago, that terrified me. That was like, I would never have said, yeah, let's do it. 2 years ago, I was like, oh my gosh, I want to do it. And now I'm doing it. And my last job is I'm ministering to MOPS coordinators for MOPS International. I'm a volunteer ministry coach. And that's what I do. And all of those things, you know what's crazy is all of those things are service oriented. I'm helping other people. And don't get me wrong, I'm getting something out of it too. I mean, all of these things bring me joy, fulfillment, peace, happiness, you name it. But I mean, I wouldn't have been able to do a lot of these things had I not moved into a different phase of my life, moved to a different place, etc. And so don't be afraid of change. And listen, I'm not saying you have to pack up all your life, pack up boxes and move 3 hours south. That's not what I'm saying. In fact, I don't recommend it. It's kind of a lot of work. But what I am saying is I don't want you to be afraid of change because you're afraid that you'll ruin, your life, or you'll mess up the status quo, or you'll disappoint some people. Honestly, I wouldn't worry about it because, at the end of the day, you have to be the person who's happy. You have to be the person who feels good where you are and with what you are doing. We're going to close this week, but before we do, I want to ask, something from you. And I'm not going to talk about this for long. I just want another minute of your time. But I just want to ask you to pray for my family, me and my husband and my son. We got some shocking news about a little bit less than a week ago. And then it was followed by some really devastating news. And it's going to be okay. I know that God has a plan. And I know that his plan is good and he will give us beauty for our ashes. But I just ask that you pray for us. And I ask that you pray for this podcast and for this ministry. And you pray for all the moms who listen and who may feel like they don't have someone in their corner. I ask and I pray that they know that they have two friends. They have a friend in Jesus, and they have a friend in me and in this community of moms. That's all I ask. Have a wonderful week. Enjoy your family. Enjoy your love, the things that you love. And I'll talk to you next week. Bye. Hi, I'm Dani Carter-Iddens, creator of Taking Back You. My vision for Taking Back You was simple. I wanted to create a safe place for mamas to focus on the dreams that have been placed on their hearts, where they could walk alongside other mamas who get and give advice on how to do this mom thing. I want to tell mamas what I wish someone had told me, and to build a community of mothers who aren't afraid to reach for the stars, even while holding their children in their arms. Want to learn more? Visit TakingBackYou.com, because at Taking Back You, we know happy moms raise happy kids. Thanks so much for listening. For more information on Taking Back You and the Taking Back You Momcast, visit us at TakingBackYou.com. From there, you'll be able to follow us on social media, listen to past episodes, and learn all about the mission of Taking Back You. Be sure to subscribe to get future episodes. And from all of us at Taking Back You, thank you so much for your support.